Hey everyone, thanks for joining Episode and Play Games. My name is Lance, and today I look at a brand new expansion coming to Kickstarter for Endogenesis. This is Endogenesis Beyond by Hyper Elixir. It is a 1 to 5 player game that takes roughly an hour to 2 hours to play, and is a competitive game where each player is competing against the other players to be the first to gain 3 prisms and win the game. In this expansion, there's going to be a bunch of new features included with this. You'll have the ability to augment some of your skills, adding some new traits and features to them. You'll also have a brand new slot that you can place new skills for Death Cry and Initiative. And for those of you that played the old Endogenesis, these were features that only were found on the monsters, so it's really interesting to see the players get some of these abilities now. There's also a new skill category for Voltic, and a new resource for Charge, and this is going to help you get off some of these new Voltic skills that you'll have. There's also some new distortions and monsters that are going to be included with this to give you some more challenges, and a bunch of other cards as well. As always, if you find these videos helpful, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button, subscribe to my channel, as it really does make a big difference, helps me to continue to grow and produce these videos. If you stay updated on all my videos, also consider ringing that bell so you get notifications anytime I release new content. So let's head to the table, and I'll show you what this one's all about. The one other important thing I want to mention before getting into the game is that all the materials you see here are prototype materials and are subject to change and will look a lot better in the production copy. From there, let's go ahead and start off by taking a look at what comes in this expansion. So first off, you're going to receive 45 new Realm of Knowledge cards, which is going to consist of new skill cards for each of the current skill sets, and then a brand new skill with the Voltic skill as well. So you'll also have some artifact cards and 10 new augment cards. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that these are just the specs that I have. This might change according to how well the expansion does with stretch goals and whatnot, or the creator might have decided to change some stuff as well. The other thing you're going to receive is 13 Realm of Chaos cards, which are going to include new events, new distortions, and new monsters and legendary monsters. So some interesting new challenges that you're going to be facing there. Finally, it's going to wrap up with a brand new class for that new skill, and you'll have 50 charge tokens, a bag, and the new Realm of Wonder cards. You'll have 4 of those as well. The first new card type I'm going to look at are Augments, and as you can see, there's a number of different ones included in here. You'll have 10 Augment cards in the expansion. Each of these is going to add a permanent effect to a skill card that it's attached to. So looking at an example of this, let's say that I attach Pulsar here to this Augment. So from this point on, this is permanently going to affect Pulsar, and Pulsar to activate is 2 energy, and this particular Augment is going to add +1 to that. So it's going to cost me 3 energy to activate it, and this will always be in effect. I cannot choose to activate Pulsar and not pay that extra cost. From there, then, it's also going to add a benefit for the skill that it affects. The direct damage is also going to add stun, and this is outlined again at the bottom here. It says enemies successfully damaged by this skill are stunned. So augments are going to provide a number of different abilities, and each one is a little bit different and depending upon how you use them. And again, the augment is attached to the skill card and not the skill slot that you place it in. The second set of cards is going to involve 2 new skill types, and you're going to find these skills in each one of these skill categories, not just the ones shown here. So I have the initiative cards with the initiative icon and the death cry cards with the death cry icon. With these, the number inside them is the cost to bring them into play, and then they're going to always be active, and when their effects trigger, you'll resolve them. With the initiative cards, that will happen at the beginning of each of your turns, and you'll resolve the effects of those cards. And with the death cry cards, that's going to happen when you are killed, and then you'll resolve the effects of that card on that. This is also going to have a brand new category, and I'll show you this a little bit later in the video. And the last new card type I'm going to look at are the brand new Voltic electrical skill category cards. So this is a brand new skill category and is also going to introduce the brand new charge tokens, and only this skill category can have charge tokens on them. Each one of the cards for this is going to work just like any of the other cards, and when you pay the cost of it, you'll resolve the effect, and a lot of these effects are going to have 2 new icons on them. The first is adding charge tokens, and the second is going to discharge those charge tokens if there are a number of them equal to or greater than on this card. So for example, with this one, it's going to deal 1 damage and 1 bonus damage for every charge on this skill. Then you're going to add +1 charge, so I get to add 1 to this, And then if there are 2 or more charged tokens on here, then it will discharge those tokens, removing them. And then this one has shard abilities that will increase that as well, and that will potentially add more damage to that as you build up on those charged tokens. Each one of them is going to work a little bit differently, but this is a really cool new skill that is going to have some really neat additional benefits to it. And the last thing I want to go into is a couple of additional changes that have been added to the game. Now, I do want to point out this is not a complete setup. This is just for an example to show you how some of these things work and explain some of the things. This is not how a full game would look, as there's no extra players and whatnot. So the very first thing that's been added is the fragments of knowledge, and this is going to happen during the draw phase. During the very first one, this is going to be revealed, so you'll draw the top 3 cards of the Realm of Knowledge deck and place those out above the playing area. Now, in subsequent draw phases, these cards are going to be discarded to the discard pile, and 3 new cards will come up. And at the end of a player's turn, once they are all done with all their stuff, they will enter into a seeking phase, and the next player can go ahead and start their turn, and this seeking phase for this player will happen for the rest of that player's turn. Now, when that player's turn comes to an end, then their seeking phase will start, and this player's seeking phase will end. During a player's seeking phase, they can choose to discard 2 cards from their hand and take one of the Realm of Knowledge cards above in the fragments of knowledge. When this happens, so let me say that this player here decided to discard 2 cards to take this card. These 2 cards would be discarded and 3 new cards would be placed out. And a player can only ever choose to purchase 1 card from this category at a time. So I could not discard 2 or 4 cards to choose 2. The other new feature is there is a brand new slot that is called the auto trigger slot. And this is the only spot where you can place the brand new initiative and death cry cards. And those cards will be played depending upon which card it is. The initiative card will be played face up and the death cry card will be placed face down. And this will only have 2 slots for shards, as you can see in this image. So let me show you an example of this. Let's go ahead and say that it's this player's turn, and I want to play an initiative card there. So I'm going to go ahead and spend the Glyph of Ascension to get my 3 energy from it. So I'll add 3 energy to my area. And then I would like to play this initiative card, so it's going to cost me 2 energy. And then I'll place it in my auto trigger slot. Now, the other important thing with this slot is that it's not going to contribute towards these slots over here. So if you're going after a class card, you cannot use this slot as one of the 4 that need to be filled. And if you're going after a class, this will affect that, as far as if a class only allows you to have certain types of cards, this card will also apply to that. So if I went with, let's say, this class here, then I could not have anything but mechanic class skills throughout. So that's another interesting thing. But then from this point on, during each of my next turns, this is going to trigger, as this is an initiative, so it'll happen at the very beginning of my turn. And it says that all of my equipped basic skills are going to cost 1 less this turn. So to activate these, it's going to cost me 1 less energy from that next turn on. This won't activate this turn. Well, I hope you guys found this video helpful in deciding whether or not you want to back this Kickstarter. If you have any questions or comments, leave those in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Or swing by the Kickstarter's main page and drop any questions you have there. I'm sure the creator would love to hear from you and is more than happy to answer any questions you have as well. If you found this video helpful, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to my channel, as it really does make a big difference. It helps me to continue to grow and produce these videos. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my videos and leave me feedback on them. I do really appreciate it and take into account everything you guys say to make the best possible videos. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.